One team that, Duncan, you might not be able to watch that 12:30, but I'm pretty sure Arsenal will be having one eye on what happens in that game, because then they need to respond to whatever City do in the 3:00 kickoff. They face Leeds at home. 6 league wins in a row for Mikel Arteta's side. No team has won 7 in a row in the Premier League this season. It's been an incredible response, hasn't it, Dom? When they lost to Manchester City in February, we all panicked for them, but the way they've responded, wow.
Absolutely magnificent. And at the risk of revisiting some Twitter trolling, I made the mistake earlier this season ahead of one of the North London derby, of suggesting that Antonio Conte and Tottenham were probably a bit further down the line in terms of mounting a title challenge than Arsenal. That hasn't been reminded. I've been reminded of that every week.
Have you deleted that tweet?
Oh, no. You have to stick with it. I think there were some Twitter cards made as well, so I'm done now.
Oh, wow.
I'm out of it. But no, I think that is a real indication of their character, to recover from that defeat to City in the way that they've done. And even that little blip, I mean, the Everton loss, where they, there were sort of throwbacks to previous visits to Goodison Park where they might have been bullied a bit. And yet here they are after that. I think they went through 4 games in all competitions without winning. To go on this run and to recover as well from the elimination from the Europa League, I just think it's superb. I mean, the momentum they've gathered, the belief that they've got, the confidence that's flowing through the team, the options that they're now getting back, attacking options as well, coming back into contention, it's there for them. It's there for them.
It is, isn't it? But that's, I think, where the Arsenal fans get a bit nervy. But it does feel like a different Arsenal side this season. And facing Leeds at home, they actually haven't lost to Leeds in their last 13 meetings. It's over 20 years, and that ended their title hopes that day.
Oh, don't say that.
What an evening that was as well.
I know. I was kind of pausing when saying that, because I almost don't want to remind them of that, because it does feel like this is a new Arsenal.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that's kind of happened in the last month or so with Arsenal is kind of getting through those 2 crazy fixtures against Aston Villa and Bournemouth. And they felt like there was so much emotion involved. And I think to kind of respond from those 2 games by beating Fulham and beating Crystal Palace pretty comfortably is kind of exactly what they needed. There was just too much chaos. It felt like those victories over Villa and Bournemouth should have been coming with 5 games of the season left, not 13, 14 games of the season left. So I think that was just crucial for them to kind of settle down a little bit more. And yeah, they've got a great record against Leeds, but it's kind of tricky to know what to expect with Javi Gracia. I think Leeds have become a little bit more compact, whereas when Arsenal have played Leeds recently, Leeds have been so open in transition that you knew this Arsenal team with Saka, Martinelli were always going to get chances, whereas I think it will be a slightly different test this weekend.
Yeah, Javi Gracia, absolute legend. Love that man. He has had an impact at Leeds.
Do you remember his 8 games at Watford then?
I think he had a few more than that, actually. Thank you very much. He's probably our longest serving manager, about 10 years. Jay said there about making them a bit more compact, but their last game, the 4-2 win against Wolves, I probably wouldn't describe that quite as compact.
But that was a repeat of last season, wasn't it? That was
weird.
It's like whenever they go to Molyneux, chaos happens, doesn't it?
I mean, it's astonishing.
But I take your point, Jack. I'm not trying to undo what you said. In general, that's what I expected, knowing how Javi Gracia manages. That's what we have kind of seen in his early stages. But what have you made of Leeds under his management?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Jay that he has changed it quite a lot. I think a few Leeds fans here have said that it's the most impressed they've been with Leeds all season. They actually look like a team for the first time. But they are going away to Arsenal. And to Jay's point a minute ago, I thought that first half against Fulham was amazing. That each season you get a point when a team looks like the champions, and that looks like the league champions playing there. I think there's talk today about the blackout, the 3:00 blackout. This is another game at 3:00 on Saturday. I think that's now 4 of Arsenal's last 5 that have been not on TV, which, given they're going for the league title, is mad, really.
As someone that works for a TV show that goes out with the 3 p.m. kickoffs, we love it when the league leaders are 3 p.m.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
I've managed to be live at Arsenal Bournemouth this season, that bonkers game. Yeah. Someone beat Brentford as well. Was that a draw, actually?
It was a draw, yeah.
Sorry.
Do you think that makes a difference to the actual team to be playing at 3 p.m. on a Saturday question. And out of the... I mean, because you're not out of the spotlight, are you? You're being beamed around the world still, and
through via VPNs, etc. People in the stadium.
And they're still, and in the old days, you'd say, you could sort of go under the radar by playing at 3 p.m. on a Saturday sometimes.
I guess they'd maybe have less media commitments before before
true.
a game, which
Yeah,
might
true.
mean they can just kind of concentrate on it a tiny bit
They'd
more.
still have all the global
But,
stuff.
but also when they're the main 3 p.m. game, which they will be when they're the league leaders,
Yeah.
then I still think it's pretty,
still intense.
yeah.
because they're kind of like Sky Sports' main choice game, so they'll have people there. So yeah, I take maybe a tiny bit, but yeah, it probably just feels bizarre, doesn't it, for them to be playing at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, or maybe they
I quite like it. I don't know. I quite like it. It's just a bit old
Traditionalist
school.
on Fifield. Yeah, I mean, I just think I don't have the numbers on this, but I do think it's unusual. I think if you go back to previous seasons at this point, it's often usually been Liverpool and City. I think most of their games each week would have been live. I think maybe this is a hangover because they choose the TV games such a long time in advance. Maybe it's that, but I'm pretty sure. I don't think Arsenal won't be on telly for the rest of the season after this
How
weekend.
many of Man City's games have been on TV in the last few weeks or so?
Duncan's like, I've got a lot of stats on this.
I'm basically saying if the broadcasters 2 months ago gone, Arsenal will fall apart in 2 months.
maybe.
We'll just lump all our rights
I
on
think
City.
when they start to get to this point in the season, they don't do the picks quite as far in advance
yeah.
for this reason, to make sure they don't miss the big games come the end of the season. So I'm guessing we're all thinking that Arsenal are going to not be comfortable winners, because you've suggested there that Leeds have been improved. This is the kind of game that if they want to be champions, they have to win.
Yeah, and you'd imagine that, taking on a Leeds team without Tyler Adams as well, who's offered them a bit more defensive surety in midfield, might be to Arsenal's advantage, albeit that Rucker and McKinney are a decent combination in those two roles that Grazia plays. But yeah, it's a really, really difficult game for Leeds. I mean, really, really difficult, and not a match necessarily that they'll think on their run in. We're probably not going to get very much at Arsenal, but then there'll be other games that they can target. Not least, they're playing Palace I think the week later, so that's an opportunity for them. But it's I'd imagine that Arsenal will get through it, find a way.
Yeah, Leeds have taken 7 points from a possible 12 under Grazia so far, but a tough test for them this weekend.
The Totally Football Show podcast is available 3 times a week, bringing you all the football news you could reasonably be expected to care about. We've got views, we've got stats, we've got analysis, we've got some of the best football writers around, and the whole thing is absolutely free. So have a listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or all the usual places by clicking on the link below.